Great God. Well, I think it's got all the makings of a rollicking good evening. I will have to give you some of the old bullshit, I'm afraid, because after all... Oh, I'm sorry, madam. I'll tell you what, I'll have a firkle in my bag and see what I can find. As I say, it's a simple talk given by a simple boy to a simple hard buggers, I'll tell you. I brought some of the jelly light with me. You'll notice it's very much like marzipan. Just a job for the mother-in-law's birthday cake. You get her to light the candle and you piddle off out quick. Oh, sorry dear, I keep forgetting. Somebody open the door for that lady, quick. Lock it. To detonate this, as I was trying to tell Northwich Rotary Club, you take your non-ferrous metal prodder in your right hand. Now, if you then insinuate it in the end of the gelignite, like so. One of these buggers at Northwich Rotary Club, one of the exec from the ICA, I say, Mr. Bates, why don't you use our non-ferrous metal prodder? Price 7 and 6pence. Oh, he's got all the bloody prices with him, you know. I think it's sent him a purpose, you see. I said, aye, but your non-ferrous metal prodder's only like a piece of bent copper wire. I said, and by the time I've prodded him a couple hundred of these, I have a hole in my hand as well as one in my jelly. I said, I'm sticking to the old screwdriver. I don't mind being blown up bottom bucket if I'm going to walk about with a hole in my hand. They start looking at you sideways, you know they are. Anyway, having prodded me jelly, we then take a piece of blue sump fuse. This is just a simple way, shall we say, and a plain azide detonator. And having done this, we stick the detonator on the end of the fuse like so, and crimp it on with the approved nippers. One of those things that the sergeant made you say, if you hold it in your hand, it gets warm, it blows your bloody hand off. I had one silly twat say to me, is that why you've got a gold tooth? Can you imagine it, though? Christ, thick as two bloody sharp planks, some of them. Anyway, and then we stuff it up the orifice like that, and now we have what you might call a blast bomb. And as I say, it was just say, for instance, we wanted a serving hatch in this wall. Well, what we do, well, you notice I point it towards the other stick of jelly. Now, just imagine this was an 18-inch brick wall. Then you light the fuse burns down, the detonator explodes, this starts to burn about 4.5 miles a second, which is knocking on. The gelignite changes from a solid into a gas at that speed. It hits the other stick of gelignite, which of course acts as a booster, and we hit the wall with a pile-driving blow of gas about 5 miles a second. Of course, people say, well, how'd you go on underwater? I've never had it. Anyway, they get bloody wet, of course, but with this stuff, you will notice I will light the blue sump fuse and we will let it bubble and... Oh, Christ. We'll let it bubble and squeak around in here a bit. And there you are. Look at that. See that there? Now then, I was at one of these religious groups and said, he's a great clever bugger, this bait, so you can't change the water into wine. I said, how's that for a Guinness? It also takes the management 3 days to get the shit off that glass when it's finished. Yeah. And I can only say this. Oh, look at that. Now, you'll notice it come right the way around. There you are, you see. You start to sag when it's nearly finished, getting on the short stuff. In about half an hour's time, the most fiendish smell comes off that glass. It's evil. I can only describe it as being evil. It's like rat shit that's gone off, you know. It's bloody awful. It is really fiendish. And I was at the Pack Horse Hotel in Bolton, rather swish place, 3 dining rooms and a string quartet. At the Rotary Club, the men that wear the shoes. And I was demonstrating with this, you know, and I'd put it on the table, and after a bit, you know, the president said, he said, can I take that off you? You know, because the bloody stench was getting on his pudding a bit, you know. So he buggers off with this, and I thought he's gone and shoved it down the bog and pulled the chain on it, you see. Anyway, he was back in a minute. He said, oh, he said, that's better. I said, it is. It's fiendish, isn't it? He said, yes, you see, because... Anyway, about 3 days after, I got the letter from the manager of the Packhorse Hotel at Bolton. We know what it is and who it is, but for Christ's sake, tell us where it is. You know? And this silly bugger had obviously stuck it behind the piano somewhere. And this evil bloody smell, you know, was going through all the 3 dining rooms. And the bloke was playing the bloody cello, making his eyes water, you know. Oh, he was bloody awful. They, but as I say, some years